always joke that I cry on the show, but I've never cried this early.
Oh no.
No, it's a good thing. I'm in awe of you. Why did you start Run for Something?
So Run for Something was born of the ashes of the 2016 election.
HFK was too. Her first 100K was born as well. Yep.
Just a time for us to rise like phoenixes. So after I worked for Obama, I worked for his nonprofit for a year. I moved down to Florida and worked in the governor's race for a while. And then I moved to New York to work for Secretary Clinton's campaign, which was a dream come true. All I wanted was to elect the first woman president. I'm going to get like teary thinking about it.
No, and I literally, you just said that. Yep.
It felt so possible. You know, we worked so hard. I worked from before the campaign launched all the way through to days and days and weeks after. And we used to get pep talks throughout the hardest days of, if we win, the little girls across the country will be able to say that you did this. You gave me an example of what is possible to achieve.
Yep.
And if we lose, everything is on the line. Like, we used to make up headlines of what we would see under a Trump presidency, and honestly, we couldn't have made up with the reality.
Though, fuck.
It sucked. And afterwards, you know, in the weeks after Election Day, it's not just a personal failing. Because, like, I, Amanda Litman, failed to do my job, which was to elect Hillary Clinton president. And because I failed, so many people are going to suffer. Did I do everything I could?
At some point, you have to let that go.
Yeah. A lot of therapy.
Yeah.
But, you know, you find a way
it's
to...
so heavy. It
sucks. I mean, it was a privilege. It was a privilege and an honor to work for her, and it was one of the coolest, hardest, best things I'll ever do. And it was crushing.
Yeah.
The week after Election Day, I'm still in a haze, depression and grief, and I haven't been to a grocery store since March 2015, so, like, I'm hungry. I get a message from somebody I went to college with. Hey, Amanda, I'm a public school teacher in Chicago. I'm thinking about running for office because if Trump can be president, it seems like anybody can do this. You've worked in politics. You know the space. What do I do? And I didn't have an answer for them. And I was getting messages like this from people all across the country. Like, I was getting people DMing me on Twitter saying, I want to run. What do I do? Like, I was people on Facebook just, like, reaching out, asking me, what do I do?
Cold DMing you. Yeah.
Because, like, if you don't really know how the political system works, you don't even know where to start. So the friend of a friend who works in politics feels like a pretty good entry point.
Yep.
The more that I thought about that, the more that I realized that the fact that I didn't have an answer for them, the fact that there was nowhere you could go if you were in your 20s or 30s and, you know, maybe didn't have the capacity to raise a bunch of money, but maybe weren't super new to politics, but, like, you knew that this was a way you could solve a problem you cared about.
Yeah.
You didn't want to vote, or you wanted to do more than vote.
Yep.
You wanted to do more than volunteer. If you wanted to actually lead, there was nowhere you could go that would take your call. That felt like a symptom of really big problems in the Democratic Party and in our democracy.
Yep.
So on a very depressing vacation that I took with some colleagues a couple weeks later, during which I read the book by Ellen Malcolm about how she created Emily's List, which is the organization that elects pro-choice Democratic women.
Yep. I'm a supporter of them.
They are phenomenal. And she talks about how one of the reasons she created Emily's List was because women were not seen as viable candidates. They did not see them...
By who or who?
By the gatekeepers, by the donors and the party officials and, like, the people who make
the system.
Yeah. So she created Emily's List to give those women who were not seen as viable candidates a base.
Yep.
A place to call home. A political entry point. And I was like, oh, we could do something kind of like this. I would do it a little differently. You know, it's 2016 at this point, not, you know, the 80s. I would do it a little differently, but we could do something like this, but for all those people who were reaching out to me. Like, what if we created a place for young people who wanted to run for local office for the first time for them to get help? I sent an email to a whole bunch of people saying, here's my idea. Tell me why this is dumb.
and talk me down if you need to talk me down.
Surely this feels really obvious. Like, surely somebody must have tried this. Like, tell me why this is stupid. And instead I got back dozens of emails being like, yeah, you should absolutely. It's really hard.
Sure.
You should do it. And one of those people connected me to her husband, who'd been working in politics for about 15 years. His name is Ross Morales Ricchetto. And he had been, like, chewing on this idea for a while, too.
Yeah.
And Ross and I sat down, and we wrote a plan, and we built a website, and we filed the legal paperwork. I was unemployed.
At what point? What month is this?
This is December 2016.
Oh, so you
I'm a workaholic.
You got your shit together in like 2 months?
Yeah,
6
just
weeks?
about 6 weeks.
Amanda.
Yeah, I was.
Are you sleeping? Well, you probably haven't slept for a year.
So I'm sleeping and I'm writing a plan. I'm getting on the phone with people to ask them to tell me why this is a good idea or a bad idea. I'm getting feedback. Ross is managing a congressional campaign out in California, so he's like working, and then we're talking at night. By January, now I'm like really in the shit because I dislocate my knee on New Year's Eve. So I'm literally
doing what? Are you drunk?
Just like dancing in a friend's apartment.
Yeah, okay.
And being like, nowhere more fun to end New Year's Eve than in the emergency room.
I have so many friends who've just gotten fluke injuries because they've been drinking.
Yes.
And like shit happens.
Sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'm literally sitting on my couch. Can't do anything. Can't go anywhere. Can't have any fun. Can't go to the march. Can't like can't go anywhere.
Oh yeah.
So
that would have been okay.
So this is January 2017. We're like, okay, we will launch Run for Something. If it works, great. If not, what a cool hobby this will be. I like had sent out my resume to some like online marketing jobs because that's what I'd done before.
Yeah.
Who knows what I'm going to do with my life. I had envisioned a world where Hillary Clinton was going to be president. And I didn't know what I would do in that scenario either, but at the very least, like I would have friends with interesting jobs. I could find something.
Yep.
So we launch Run for Something on Trump's inauguration day. That morning, a little blurb goes out in Politico. Our website goes live. I send an email to, 1,000 people who have ever talked to in my entire life being like, I just put this thing out into the world. Tell me what you think. Please give us money. And it goes viral. We have we thought we'd get maybe 100 people who sign up to say they want to run in the first year. We have 1,000 people in the first week. My inbox is flooded with people who want to help. All of a sudden, I have people reaching out to me saying, let me talk to the folks in Kansas. Let me help the people in Florida. I have 7 friends in Maine who I think you should talk to. So I figure out how to build the thing and fly the plane and hopefully not crash the plane as we go. As of today, we're up to more than 113,000 young people, mostly women, mostly people of color, who've raised their hands to say they want to run. My multi-million-dollar 24-person, maybe 6 people, 20-something staff has helped endorse more than 2,000 candidates, and we've helped elect 640 across 48 states, all people 40 years old and younger, all first-time candidates, all to things like state house, state senate, city council, school board, library board, water board, University of Michigan Board of Regents, community college board of trustees. They have done things like expand Medicaid in Virginia to hundreds and thousands of Virginians and bring early voting to New York and get police out of traffic enforcement in Berkeley and bring paid family leave after pregnancy loss to the employees in Waterloo, Iowa. They have fought to reduce the cost of insulin in Texas and personally helped nearly 50,000 Floridians access broken unemployment system. They're amazing. And they are just the beginning, because we have so much more work to do. Yep. But getting to be a part of this and what it was going to be my hobby, now my full-time, more than full-time job, is just such a privilege and such a joy and so exhausting, and has transformed my understanding of what is possible in politics, both for better and for worse. So that's Run for Something.
I don't know what to say. I always joke that I cry on the show, but I've never cried this early.
Oh no.
No, it's a good thing. I'm in awe of you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh gosh, where do I even go? One thing I've thought about a lot is how Secretary Clinton must have felt to be the most qualified person to ever run for that office and to lose to an absolute buffoon.
Yeah.
And what that must say about the state of our world. Like, I have thought about if that was me, how much that would fuck me up, to be honest.
On election night, I was at the Javits Center. We were in the backstage in like this little staff holding area with digital and comms and like research people. We were, waiting to see what the results were because we had plans. Right. We had a website to switch over. We had an email to send, social tweet, all of that. And when the results came, obviously we all crumbled. Yeah. And the conversation I remember having most vividly with one of my friends was, what are all the little girls going to think? And just as importantly, like, what are all the little boys going to think?
Yeah.
That they can and maybe have to behave in a certain way to gain power. What kind of example are we setting for kids?
Well, for all of us.
I mean, for all of us, but like, what does this mean for what is possible for women?
Yeah.
And, you know, a little bit later, and I wrote a book in 2017 as well about, you know, how to run for office. And in it, one of the things that I put pen to paper, and it was the hardest part for me to write, was like, Hillary Clinton losing didn't feel just like a professional failure. It was the rebuke of a woman who was smart and ambitious and qualified and was told over and over again, you are too much, too loud, too aggressive, like too bold, too brash. And like, I'm an ambitious young woman. I get told I'm too loud. I get told I'm too
all the time. Yeah.
Which, like, what does that mean for people like us?
Right.
What does that tell us?
Right.
What I've choose to interpret it, and what I've choose to take away from that experience and from seeing how she has thrived, well, at the very least, come back from that with incredible grace and poise.
The most.
And what I've seen, the tens of thousands of women, more, who've said, her loss may have broken me, but it does not discourage me.
Yeah.
It makes me think, like, she went first so I could come next.
Yep.
Jennifer Palmieri, in her amazing book, Madam President, talks about the Secret Service expression, like, step forward, draw fire. That's what Hillary Clinton did. She stepped forward and drew the fire.
Yeah, and regardless of how you feel about her.
Yeah, like she took the hits.
Yep, she did.
So that the rest of us can come next. And maybe it's a little bit easier. Maybe there's more of us. Although you see what the other side is now doing to AOC, and it's what they did to Hillary Clinton 20 years ago. But to know that, like, that path has been paved, and now we get to walk on it, and we get to, like, make it better and prettier and wider and bring more people with us.
Right.